Record on that. Okay, we should have the audio and the video recording right now, so this will work now.
Okay, great.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking your time to do this for us, and this will be really great.
Well, thank you. It's no problem, and it's interesting that you're able to do that.
Yeah. One of the things that I was asking about yesterday, when things kind of just went a little haywire on us, is would you repeat again how you came to be called Sam? You know, you were called Noel by many of us, and
Yeah, my whole family all called me Noel. My mother called me Noel, and Sari called me Noel. Even all of these years, Sari and Mom called me Noel, and then all of you, of course. And it was kind of weird in that I was working for a botanist back in college, and one day when he called me to the front of the class, and he held up my hands, and he said, "Look, this is the hands of a man." and Noel's not a good name for a man like that. Sam is a man. So ever since then, nearly everybody has called me Noel or Sam. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well that's good. I've always wondered that. I never knew the answer to that, but. Oh, and by the way, I was telling you on that 1976 trip we made out to your house, it was the Springers that came with us.
Oh, okay.
Claude and Pauline Springer.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, but that was really a neat trip. I remember your house had like some kind of a petrified stump or something in the front, and that back deck that went down into the woods. That was really
Yes, right.
There was even a cardinal that would come and peck on your window. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But that was good memories. I enjoyed that time.
And that was a wonderful place for us to live, too. We
Yeah.
were living in a woods. And
Yeah.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think about the house? Like, you grew up on the hill part of the year, and then you would come down to Barker at the other part of the year. Is that correct?
Yes, that was the system. Although that began, I must have been 10 years old or so before we started having the place in Barker.
Yeah.
So it was a number of years that we lived up on the hill, and being on the hill was a treasure that most of us really treasured over the years. My dad, I was born in Wallyville, West Virginia, and when I was about 2 years old, my dad bought a 180-acre farm in Allister Ridge, and my granddad lived in a house on that farm about a half a mile from where my dad and Mom lived, and we lived there all year for I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
10 years, well, maybe 8 years or so before we had the place in Barker.
Yeah. Did was that a when you were at Barker? Did you kind of not like going out on the hill, or did you want to go back, or what?
Oh, we loved out on the hill.
Yeah.
Despite the lack of facilities and so on, it was I wouldn't trade that experience for. Live there again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the next question I wanted to ask is one of the Of course, I was very young, maybe 10 or the last time I was out on the hill, but I remember the outhouse, and that was quite the experience for me. What'd you think about that?
Well, this was normal. We didn't know any different.
Yeah.
because that's where we lived. That's the way we lived, and so that was just a normal part of life.
Yeah.
And we didn't know any differently, and we just that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was no indoor plumbing of any kind, and no hope for some.
Right.
Yeah, and so that was it. We took a bath every Saturday, whether we needed it or not, and all in the same tub.
Really?
Not at the same time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So Garnet, what? She was about 9 years older than you.
Yes, she was. Yes, I think about 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't experience. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't experience living with Garnet and remembering much of those days.
Right.
Because, and then she married rather early. I don't remember exactly when, but anyhow, I was so young during the time that she was a part of our family that I don't remember much.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is Neil younger than you?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
6 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was Jolene and Dare, which were still younger.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was Coral, which was 6 years older than
Okay.
I was. So I was 6 years plus or minus either direction.
Okay. So Garnet
Yeah.
was the oldest of.
Yes, she was the oldest.
Oh, okay. Tell me, what was your mom and dad like? My memories, I don't have a lot because I was young. I think Mom Postlethwait passed away when I was 11. But the one memory that I have of her is every time we would go visit, she would run down off the porch and run and pick me up and kiss every inch of my face. And she just lay it on me.
You know, I just thank God every day that they were my parents. They were just such wonderful people. They were good people. You know, my dad only had an 8th grade education, but boy, was he smart.
Yeah.
He was so clever at solving problems, and he would define the problem first. He did not emotionally attack things. He very carefully looked at what the problem was and gathered information related to that, and then he had some basis for whatever action he took related to that. And you know, this is really the scientific method. I used to, in giving talks around, I would talk about the scientific method and point out here how my dad literally solved problems by knowing very well, carefully what the problem was, and then gathering data that related to it.
Yeah.
And this is so important. Mom was just wonderful. You know, as far as I know or can remember, only once was I paddled by Dad. And
Do
he
you
apologized for it afterward.
Do you remember what you did?
Yeah, Mom had an old country store, and she had candies in the store. The candy was little piglets, and so one night, well, people kind of gathered at that store from around the neighborhood, and so there were a bunch of big boys there one time, and they were going to beat me up if I didn't go get them some piglets. And so I went in and got a handful of the piglets there, and my dad happened to see me take them out there, and so he was pretty upset with me, but after he found out what the situation was, he apologized. Mom, as far as I know, I cannot remember her ever saying mean things, to me or anything. And in fact, all she had to do was, when I'd been in trouble, was just look at me.
Yeah.
And that was enough. And she worked continuously on it. All day long she worked.
Yeah.
And she worked from the time she would be getting up about 5 o'clock in the morning. My dad worked in the oil field. He would ride a horse about 4 miles to work for several years there when I was a kid, younger. And in order to, he carried a pail of lunch, a lunch in a luncheon pail.
Uh-huh.
And when he'd come home about 4:30 or 5 in the evening, and there was a rock along the road that jutted out over the road some, and I used to, when I was a kid, I'd run to that rock, and he would let me get on the horse behind him.
Yeah.
There, and he always saved me a little piece of crumbs or something.
Yeah.
of his lunch.
Wow.
And that went on. I don't know how much, probably a year or so. And later he did have a Model A Ford truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking truck. Yeah.
Do you remember your grandparents?
Yes, kind of. I remember my grandma Mason
Uh-huh.
pretty well, and she lived in Columbus, Ohio, with Merle Mason, who was her daughter, for a number of years, and I used to stop there and to see her. One of the things that she would say that she was ready to die and she wanted to go. And at that time, that was very distressing to me. I did not understand it.
Right.
Now I understand it very
Yeah.
well. I mean, I understand
Yes.
it very well. My dad's dad lived about a half mile away from where we lived on the farm. And he was pretty effective in handling all of his problems here until when I was 11 years old, I passed the test to go to high school. Well, I started to go to high school, and I rode a horse about 4 miles and I would hitch the horse up there and go to school for the day and then back. Did that for probably a month or maybe 2 months, and my grandfather became ill and moved into our home then with us, and the result was I needed to be there, and of course since I was premature going there to high school anyhow, I just quit going that year.
Was that at Reeder or?
That was at Reeder. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Reeder was about 4 miles away from where we lived.
Yeah.
Later, when the next year, when I was 12, my dad had bought the pickup truck, and so I would ride along with my sister and a neighbor boy. Dad had made a canvas type thing over the back, and so we would ride then with my dad, which was over to Barker. We would ride to Barker, which is the exact opposite direction of our high school.
Yeah.
And then I would drive from, we would let him off at his work, and I would drive then another, I guess, 6 or 8 miles or so around to Reeder, driving past a high school in Pine Grove, but to Reeder to
What?
high school.
Okay.
Picking up kids along the way.
Oh yeah. So you were the bus.
Yeah, I was the bus.
Yeah. So did you? If I caught that right, you were like at one time going to high school at like age 11 or something, taking some classes.
Yes. Well, I was just regularly going to high school. I passed the test to go at 11.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's when my grandfather got sick after about a month, and that's when I rode a horse to
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
But the next year, my dad had a car, and when I was 12, then I would drive my sister and my friend, their neighbor. We would go from Barker around through Pine Grove over to Reeder, where I went to high school.
Okay.
And in the doing of that with the pickup truck, I'd be picking up kids all along.
Yeah.
Along
Yeah.
The way. Yeah.
Did other children ride horses to school? Was that an uncommon thing?
No, that was an uncommon thing, and I still can't imagine that I had the gall to do that, but because somebody had a kind of a shed near the school,
Uh-huh.
and I just went in and tied the horse in that shed, and I don't remember ever asking anybody's permission or anything.
Really?
Yeah, but that's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
In those days, and in Wetzel County, somebody said, "Well, how did you get a driver's license at 12 years old?" Well, who had a driver's license? I mean, the only official there at that time was the sheriff, who was in New Martinsville,
Yeah.
2 miles away.
Wow. Did was the high school the school that's kind of close to the church building on the other side of the creek in Reeder? Is that where it was?
Yes, it was across. It wasn't. It was on the same side of the creek. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little bit east of, on the eastern edge of Reeder, which the only other thing I think in Reeder were a few houses where people lived, and the high school and a grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know my other grandparents on my other side, the Kings, E.R. King and Thelma?
No.
They lived in Reeder, but
No.
yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Yeah.
Did where did you all go to church?
We went to Wileyville. When I was younger, until I don't know about, I was probably 10 years old or so before we were routinely going to church, and my mother was a Christian, and so Dad and I both were baptized the same evening.
Really?
Yeah, there was a preacher that wandered through there, the name of Dennis. Fred Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
And he baptized us in the creek. We found a place there where the water was about waist deep, and
Wow. What time of the year was it?
I can't remember that exactly. Probably in the fall.
Okay.
Not too late in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that Fred had baptized you all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dad was an elder there in the church for a long time.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Well, being out there on the hill and stuff, did you ever? Did you hunt, or what was your day like?
My dad bought me a .22 rifle for I think it was about my 11th or 12th birthday, and we went hunting that same day on Christmas Day, and we used dog. We had a good dog then, and he would rouse a rabbit, and the rabbit run before him, and then it would stop and wait for him to catch up, and so I he did that.
Uh-huh.
There was a rabbit not too far from me that had stopped, and I took my first shot, and we the rabbit just ran away, and the dog chased him, of course, and chased him into a rock pile. Well, if you take a stick and split it, you can put that into the pile where the rabbit is, and twist it and give it a twist, and it'll catch in the rabbit's fur, and you can pull the rabbit out. And we did that, and the rabbit had a hole through both ears.
Really?
Yeah. So I just been just too high. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. Well, you know what? I have a 22 rifle that belonged to my dad, and I remember my dad telling me that either you or Neil had given him that rifle when he was a boy, but I don't remember which one. But anyway, I still have that rifle.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
No.
What was it? Kids have great imaginations. Was it scary out there at night? I mean, did you?
Oh no, no. And in fact, we had. I don't know if we ever had a key to our house or not, because nobody ever worried about the door was always unlocked, and we you left the key in the truck. We had usually a couple of dogs, and of course they would arouse us if anybody came around. And
yeah,
no, it was that was never a concern.
Yeah,
fight was not a part of our lives.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
You mentioned that you can only remember your dad spanking you once.
Yes.
I remember once when he almost got spanked by my mom.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. He came to our house to visit, and he had that spittoon that he kept by his chair, and it was a swivel chair, and he swiveled and knocked that over on Mom's carpet. She about had a fit. But he was so apologetic for that, too. He felt bad. But I do remember that.
Yeah, in 1924, he bought a touring, a Dodge touring car.
Yeah.
And and it was all open, and there were no windows to roll up or anything like that. It was just open, and so he. When he was chewing tobacco and driving, the person who was sitting behind him,
yeah,
you had to draw straws to see who had to sit there.
Yeah. Oh my. Well. I'll just. I've kept you for about a half an hour now. Let me ask you this. Do you have any advice for your great nieces and nephews that'll be watching this?
Well, you know what? Being grateful is so important, and living with good people is so important. And you select, regardless of whomever you have encountered and so on, you're the one who makes the final decision as to who you are.
Yeah.
And you select from all of the advice and whatever, that's what you want to select. And so don't blame anybody else for who you are.
Yeah.
And if you live with good people, I've lived all my life with good people. Of course, I started with good people, and I've lived with good people, like your family, all of these years.
Yeah.
But that's been a choice.
Yeah.
That's been a choice that I've made, and to allow yourself to be ruled and to be what some other people might have you be is your fault.
Yeah.
You are whom you are because of you.
Right. Right.
Not because of the surroundings.
Right.
That and in fact, your surroundings are because of you.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
those you have selected.
Yes.
And the people you know are people that you know because of you,
Right.
and not because of them.
That's
And so if you have one goal at life and you want a good one, use the guidelines in the scriptures
yes.
here. For they say, and clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and self-control. Bear with one another and forgive whatever grievance you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you.
Yeah.
And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together into perfect unity. I'm sounding like your dad.
Yeah. That's great.
Wasn't he wonderful?
He was.
He was wonderful. Yes, yes. Just great.
Well, that's a great piece of advice for us. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Well, there's one other that
Yes.
I'm skipping a few verses in there, but and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to the Father through him.
Yeah.
Okay?
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
Well, just hi to you all. Yeah.
yes.
I wish I could be there and see you.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll put this together, and I'll send you a copy of this as well. And I really appreciate you doing this for us. This will be a big surprise for everybody else.
Okay. Thanks much.
You have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.